How's it going, everybody? I'm Josh, amateur radio call sign KI6NAZ, and yes, my truck is autopiloting. With that out of the way, CJ emailed me and asked a question about digital modes and what they're all about and what can you really do with digital modes. So digital modes, if you think about it, is just taking information, whether that's voice, data, a picture.
Here we go.
Video even, and digitizing it. You can do the same thing with amateur radio, right? So an amateur radio will take in your voice via its microphone, digitize it, and then play it out over your radio, right? And you hear it. If you don't have the right radio to decode that signal, you just hear noises and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're still coming in CQ.
So the same thing goes with data, right? You could use a mode like APRS, which is actually based on packet radio. The protocol is AX25 and has been around for a really long time. In fact, packet radio is used for APRS, Automatic Packet Reporting System, which we use to not only beacon our location, but you can actually send text messages to and from other radios, but also connect to a digipeater, which may connect to an iGate or is an iGate. A digipeater is just a fancy way of saying a packet repeater. An iGate is a fancy way of saying an internet connection. And then those packets make it up to the internet. You can see them on aprs.fi, which will show you all the different packets that are in an area that you're looking at that have made it to the internet. So what's great about digital modes is that in some cases, they can be used to solve inadequacies that we have as human beings. And what are some of those inadequacies? Look, Mom, no hands. The truck's stopping.
The Ham Radio Crash Course Coffee Club is now in effect. If you remember, a couple of years back, we gave it the beans by making a Give It the Beans coffee blend, and we had so much fun doing that we decided to extend it into a whole line of coffee, and it will be a Coffee of the Month program that starts out with the first 4 months. It's available. hamtactical.coffee. The link will be in the description. Check it out.
So one of those inadequacies is that our ears are only capable of hearing noise down into a certain level before that noise sort of disappears in the ambient radio atmospheric noise. So if you are in a higher noise environment where you have electrical devices that are creating spurious emissions and all this other fun stuff, your radio and your computer, being the processing body that is decoding these digital signals, will actually be able to hear deeper than you can into the noise and pull out that important information. We use this for modes like FT8 and JSA call, among some others, but those are probably the most popular. Now with FT8, we use that to just exchange contact info, your location, the signal report, your call sign, that kind of thing, and your timestamp. Now, that's great for people that are on a modest radio setup. You know, they have not a lot of money to throw at radio, but they still want to get on HF and they still want to make long distance contacts. Well, they use FT8 for that. And FT8 has pretty much revolutionized the world of long distance radio contacts, in that I believe at any one time there are more contacts being made on FT8 than any other mode of traditional operation. Any operation, not even traditional, just any. Single sideband, Morse code, they don't stand a chance against FT8. That's how much there are. And then JSA call uses a same basically 15-second transmit listen window, although it can be extended for longer messages, to send keyboard to keyboard messages. Another human fallibility, or maybe you could just say human reality, is that we're busy creatures. We don't have time to sit in front of a radio constantly and make contacts or beacon out our location and other such things. So there's a number of modes that are facilitated by the radios to allow for occasional beacon transmits on the direction you're heading, your elevation, coupling your GPS information, if you will, onto things like packet for, again, APRS. JSA calls has a system where it will periodically notify the network of people that can hear them that, hey, I'm still around. Add me to your list to keep me involved. Or opposite of that, or you can turn that off so that you can occasionally receive messages if your computer is left on when you're away. And then you can reply to those messages later. That's called asynchronous communication, meaning you got a little inbox, kind of like an email. Those emails can be read later, and they're not really emails, they're messages. But for email, though, that exists too. There's a mode called Winlink, and Winlink is really not a mode so much as it's a suite. It's an application that operates on many different modes of communication in digital format. One of them being a traditional one that's been around for a long time called Pactor. Pactor actually uses a special modem to be able to digitize the information coming into it. Now, Pactor is interesting because it's kind of been this holdout thing, and one of the reasons that the baud rate limit was recently removed is because Pactor can actually operate on a very wide bandwidth, which means you can express a lot of data very quickly in the form of emails potentially, and then get on with your day. It doesn't take a long time to send a lot of information relatively quickly. Now, there's a cheaper version and a free trial version of a similar mode of operation called Vara. Vara is great for Winlink, and it exists both for high frequency, so your HF radios, your long distance communication beyond line of sight radios, and also in the form of VHF, UHF, or Vara FM, because it uses frequency modulation. That's the mode of operation that works on. Now, the cool thing about Vara is that it is also used in basically a chat program called VaraChat. And it is just piggybacking on the standard Vara application, but using it in kind of a locked-in, one-on-one back-and-forth communication. VaraChat takes VarHF and VarFM kind of to a different level. VaraChat will let you have a keyboard-to-keyboard communication with somebody, and you can also exchange files and other nominal pieces of information, which goes above and beyond the idea of what VaraFM and VaraHF was originally designed to do in the form of Winlink email transfers, which is really quite nice. So I'm not sure if that was exactly the answer CJ was looking for, but it's the answer I got. And if you found this helpful and interesting, well, you can email me too. Pretty much any social media you can hit me up. But the ones that you get the fastest response are probably Instagram, Discord, and of course my email at josh@hamtactical.com. If you found this video helpful and rewarding, well, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. In fact, that's the greatest satisfaction I get, is when people tell me that in the comments. So if you could do that, that would be great. Otherwise, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and hey, the YouTube algorithm, I don't know if you knew this, but the YouTube algorithm went through a big change in March, and March, April, May, and we're kind of all just figuring things out. But one of the things that we were told was that if you are subscribed to a channel, you're not really necessarily going to see videos from those people unless you continue to watch things like amateur radio videos. So you can go a step further and you can click that little bell icon to let you know when I post a video, or anyone that you follow, or go live, and you should do that. Hey, 73 from me, Josh, KI6NAZ.